Ladies and gentlemen, I want to challenge you with a very simple, yet life-changing assignment for the next 3 days. Change the way you speak to yourself. Do you realize that the most powerful voice in your life is not the voice of your parents, not the voice of your teachers, not even the voice of your enemies or friends? The most powerful voice in your life is your own. What you say to yourself shapes your attitude, directs your behavior, and builds your identity. Many of us lie defeated, not because of what others said about us, but because of what we agreed with in our own mind. The enemy does not have to destroy you. He only needs to get you to destroy yourself with your own words. So, for the next 3 days, I want you to practice speaking life to yourself. Every morning when you wake up, look in the mirror and declare, I am valuable. I am here for a purpose. I am not an accident. I have what it takes to overcome today. My past is not my prison. My future is my promise. You see, the mind believes what it hears most often, and if you keep repeating negative words, you will begin to live out a negative life. But if you speak truth, if you speak hope, if you speak destiny, you will begin to live like the person you were created to be. For 3 days, I want you to silence the voice of doubt and turn up the volume of faith. For 3 days, refuse to rehearse failure. Refuse to magnify fear. Refuse to tell yourself you cannot. Instead, declare with boldness, I can, I will, I must. And here is the secret. If you do this consistently, even for 3 days, you will begin to feel a shift. Your energy will change. Your outlook will change. Your confidence will rise. Because the words you speak to yourself become the environment you live in. My friend, life and death are in the power of the tongue. For the next 3 days, choose life. Speak life. And watch how it begins to transform the way you think, the way you walk, and the way you see yourself. Would you like me to expand this into a full 20-25 minute speech script with stories, illustrations, and repetition in that passionate style? Or keep it as a shorter keynote style version? Your words are the most powerful influence over your own life. What you say to yourself shapes your destiny. From the very beginning of time, words have carried the power to create, to build, to design, and to establish. Words are not just sounds you release into the air. They are seeds planted in the soil of your mind and spirit. And like any seed, they grow, they multiply, and eventually they manifest into the reality you experience. The most powerful conversation you will ever have is not the one you have with your spouse, not the one you have with your boss, not the one you have with your critics. It is the conversation you have with yourself in the privacy of your own thoughts. That is where destiny is either nurtured or destroyed. When you wake up in the morning, before anyone else speaks to you, your inner voice is already at work. It tells you what to expect from the day. It tells you what you are capable of, and it tells you whether to rise or to retreat. Some people lose before they even get out of bed, not because life defeated them, but because their own words disarmed them. They said to themselves, I can't handle this. I'm not good enough. This day will be too hard. And when you say it, you program your mind to perform it. Others win before they even step outside the door because they told themselves, I am ready, I am strong, I am favored, I am equipped. Their body responds, their mind aligns, and their spirit walks in expectation of victory. Your words are shaping your attitude, and your attitude is shaping your behavior, and your behavior is shaping your future. Every successful person has learned to master the language of self-talk. They do not wait for others to validate them because they validate themselves. They do not wait for the world to affirm them because they affirm themselves. They understand that if they do not control their words will control them. When you speak words of doubt, you are literally building a cage around your own potential. But when you speak words of faith, you are opening the door for possibilities to enter. It is not what people call you that determines who you are. It is what you answer to. You may be called weak, but if you answer to strong, you rise above it. You may be called a failure, but if you answer to resilient, you bounce back. You may be called unworthy, but if you answer to chosen, you walk in dignity. The labels that stick to you are not the ones placed on you by others, but the ones you repeat to yourself. What you repeat becomes what you believe, and what you believe becomes what you live. Consider this: the same tongue that can say, I am nothing, can also say, I am valuable. The same mouth that can declare, I cannot, can declare, I will. The power is not in the circumstances. The power is in the choice of words. If you want to change your life, you must first change your language. You cannot speak defeat every day and expect to live in victory. You cannot speak fear every day and expect to live in courage. You cannot speak lack every day and expect to walk in abundance. You will always eat the fruit of your lips, and that fruit is determined by the seeds you plant through your words. When you realize that your words are not simply reflections of your emotions, but directions for your future, you will stop speaking carelessly. You will stop calling yourself broke, weak, hopeless, or cursed. Instead, you will begin to speak what you desire, not just what you see. Words are not just descriptive, they are creative. When you say, I am strong, you are not denying weakness, you are creating strength. When you say, I am blessed, you are not ignoring challenges, you are creating favor. When you say, I am capable, you are not overlooking obstacles, you are creating confidence. The world you live in is shaped by the words you have been speaking, and the words you will speak are already shaping the world you are about to live in. Your destiny is not locked away in someone else's opinion of you. Your destiny is not controlled by the economy, the government, or the environment around you. Your destiny is hidden within the words you declare over your own life. The most powerful tool you possess is not in your bank account, not in your degree, not in your connections, but in your mouth. What you say repeatedly becomes what you believe becomes what you expect, and what you expect becomes what you experience. Negative self-talk is silent sabotage. Positive self-talk is silent construction. Every time you speak to yourself, you are either tearing down the walls of your own potential, or you are laying bricks to build the future you desire. Most people don't even realize that the battle of their life is not being fought in public, but in private, not in the arena of competition, but in the quiet whispers of their own thoughts. The words you repeat to yourself when no one else is around are either your secret weapon or your hidden weakness. If you tell yourself that you are unworthy, incapable, or destined to fail, you have already built a prison for yourself before life even tests you. If you tell yourself that you are prepared, equipped, and destined for greatness, you have already built a foundation for strength before the challenge arrives. Sabotage is dangerous because it does not come from the outside, it comes from the inside. An enemy outside can be resisted, but an enemy within is harder to defeat. Negative self-talk works like a hidden assassin, cutting away at your confidence, draining your energy, and suffocating your vision without anyone else even knowing. You walk into opportunities, but disqualify yourself before the opportunity has a chance to open up. You walk into relationships, but convince yourself that you are unlovable before anyone else even decides. You carry gifts and talents, but because your own words have already diminished your value, you bury what you could have released. That is sabotage, when your own language undermines your own future. On the other hand, positive self-talk is construction. Construction takes time, it takes repetition, and it takes consistency. Just as a builder places brick upon brick, word upon word, you are building an internal structure strong enough to carry the weight of your destiny. When you wake up and say, I am favored, I am chosen, I am valuable, you are placing bricks of identity in your mind. When you walk into challenges and say, I can do this, I will not quit, I am more than enough, you are laying bricks of resilience in your spirit. Over time, that construction creates a fortress of strength inside of you. Others may doubt you, but you will not crumble because the structure of your inner words has built stability. The danger of negative self-talk is that it often disguises itself as honesty. People say, I'm just being real, when in fact they are reinforcing chains. Saying, I'm just not good at this, or I'll never succeed, feels like truth in the moment, but in reality it is self-sabotage dressed as humility. The truth is not in what you feel. The truth is in what you declare and build upon. Feelings change, but words construct realities. You do not have to speak what you feel, you must speak what you want to create. The power of construction is that it does not happen overnight. A building is not finished in a single day, and your inner strength is not built by a single declaration. But just like sabotage, the repetition is what gives it power. If every day you chip away with negative words, eventually the whole structure of your confidence will collapse. If every day you build with positive words, eventually the whole structure of your destiny will stand firm. The direction you go depends on which voice you allow to work daily in your mind. Think about it. If someone else spoke to you the way you speak to yourself, would you consider them a friend or an enemy? If someone constantly told you that you were worthless, incapable, and destined for failure, you would separate from them immediately. But how many people allow that very voice to live inside of their own thoughts every single day? That is why self-talk is so critical. It is the conversation you cannot escape. You can walk away from people, but you cannot walk away from yourself. That is why you must discipline your own mouth and mind to construct, not to sabotage. Positive self-talk is not pretending that life has no challenges. It is acknowledging that challenges exist, but declaring that you have the strength to rise above them. It is not ignoring the reality of pain. It is affirming the reality of purpose. It is not denying the presence of fear. It is affirming the presence of courage. It is construction, and every construction site looks messy before it looks complete. That is why consistency matters. Even if you do not feel like the words are working, every declaration is another brick, another wall, another layer of reinforcement for your inner being. The people who rise to greatness are not always the most talented, the most educated, or the most resourced. They are often the ones who refuse to sabotage themselves with their own language. They are the ones who built strength inside by speaking life until their own mind believed it. Your greatness is not determined by what you have on the outside, but by what you say to yourself on the inside. The mind believes what it hears most often. Train it with truth, not lies. Repetition is the language of the subconscious. Whatever is repeated consistently, whether good or bad, becomes accepted as reality. That is why so many people live trapped in cycles they never consciously chose. They heard the same negative words over and over until their mind treated those words as law. If as a child someone kept saying, "You are not smart, you will never succeed, you are a failure," the mind absorbed it like a sponge and built a belief system around it. Even when opportunities come later in life, that inner belief whispers, "You cannot," and the person walks away from doors that were meant to open for them. Your mind is not designed to reject what you repeat, it is designed to accept it. That is why advertisers repeat the same slogan. Why songs repeat the same chorus? Why habits are formed through repetition? The mind is impressionable, and it does not question what is said often. It simply embraces it. This is why you cannot afford to allow lies to be the dominant voice in your self-talk. Lies, when repeated, are treated as truth by the mind, and once believed, they become a filter for everything you see and do. If you repeat, "I am not good enough," you will interpret every challenge as proof of that lie. If you repeat, "I am too weak," you will approach every obstacle already defeated. If you repeat, "I don't deserve success," you will sabotage yourself the moment success begins to appear. The key is to train your mind with truth. Truth is not based on how you feel in the moment. Truth is based on what aligns with your purpose, your design, and your potential. Feelings change, but truth remains. You may feel inadequate, but the truth is you were born with gifts. You may feel insignificant, but the truth is you were created with intention. You may feel like your past defines you, but the truth is your past cannot cancel your future unless you give it permission. Training your mind with truth means deliberately replacing every repeated lie with repeated affirmations of purpose and strength. The process is not instant because the lies have been repeated for years. It requires intentional discipline to break the cycle. If you have been telling yourself, "I cannot," for 10 years, you must now begin telling yourself, "I can," every single day until the new repetition is louder than the old one. If you have been saying, "I am unworthy," you must counter it with, "I am valuable," until your mind accepts it as natural. It is not about ignoring reality. It is about aligning your thoughts with the greater truth of who you are meant to be. Consider the way athletes train. Their bodies do not naturally adapt to excellence. They are conditioned by repetition. They run the same drills, lift the same weights, and practice the same movements until their muscles no longer question, but respond automatically. In the same way, your mind must be trained with truth until speaking life becomes automatic. At first, it feels forced, but with consistency, it becomes natural. Lies become weaker with neglect, and truth becomes stronger with repetition. The danger is that many people are already training their minds, but with the wrong material. They repeat gossip, criticism, and fear until that becomes their mental reality. They rehearse their failures daily, playing the same movie of defeat in their minds until their identity is built around loss. They are diligent students of lies, faithfully attending the classroom of negativity, and yet, with that same diligence applied to truth, the entire course of their life could be shifted. It is not that their mind is broken, it is that their mind is untrained. Training with truth means being intentional about what you hear and what you say. Guard your ears against words that reinforce lies, because what you hear often, you will begin to believe. Surround yourself with voices that speak destiny, with words that affirm purpose, with teachings that build you up instead of tear you down. Then reinforce it by speaking those truths yourself. It is not enough to hear it once. You must hear it daily until your mind is convinced. When you wake up, feed your mind with truth. Throughout the day, remind yourself of truth. Before you go to sleep, rehearse truth again. Let the repetition be so consistent that your mind cannot escape it. Eventually, your inner dialogue will shift, your confidence will rise, and your actions will align with the truth you have been planting. Lies lose their grip when truth is louder. Lies crumble when truth is repeated without compromise. Lies fade when truth becomes the dominant soundtrack of your mind. For 3 days, declare life purpose and possibility over yourself until your spirit believes it. The human spirit is not instantly convinced by new words, especially if it has been conditioned for years to accept negativity, failure, and doubt. It takes intentional repetition to rewire the inner dialogue. And that is why setting aside a period of concentrated focus can ignite transformation. 3 days may sound short, but it is long enough to begin shifting the atmosphere of your mind. When you discipline yourself to declare specific truths over your life for 3 consecutive days, you are breaking cycles of silence, rejecting the dominance of old lies, and opening the door for new belief systems to take root. On the first day, your declarations may feel mechanical. You may stand in front of the mirror and say, I am valuable. I am chosen. I am capable, and yet feel no different. Your emotions may argue with your words. Your past may rise up to contradict you. But you must remember that this exercise is not about how you feel. It is about what you are planting. The soil of your heart does not reject the seed because it does not look like fruit. It receives the seed and begins the unseen process of growth. Your words on the first day are seeds that may not be visible yet, but they are already alive. On the second day, the resistance may increase. The mind is familiar with the old script, and whenever you introduce a new language, it fights to hold on to what it has known. If you've been telling yourself, I am weak, for 10 years, your mind will not give up that phrase without a struggle. But this is where persistence matters. By declaring life, purpose, and possibility for the second day, you are not only planting new seeds, but also loosening the roots of old weeds. Every time you say, I am strong, you are contradicting, I am weak. Every time you say, I am favored, you are rejecting, I am cursed. Every time you say, I will succeed, you are uprooting, I always fail. The conflict in your mind is proof that something is shifting. By the third day, something begins to break open. What felt mechanical on the first day and resisted on the second day begins to feel more natural on the third. The words no longer sound like a script you are forcing. They begin to sound like a truth you are embracing. Your spirit starts to respond differently. You may notice a sense of confidence rising, a subtle energy in your step, or a quiet strength in your tone. You begin to believe the very words you are saying because repetition has begun to reprogram your subconscious. Your inner environment is shifting from doubt to faith, from despair to hope, from limitation to possibility. Declaring life means speaking words that affirm your existence and your worth. It is the refusal to call yourself useless, broken, or irrelevant. Instead, you say, I am alive for a reason. I carry value that cannot be replaced. My life is a gift to the world. Declaring purpose means reminding yourself that you are not wandering aimlessly, but walking intentionally. It is saying, I was born with meaning. My steps are ordered. My future is significant. Declaring possibility means refusing to bow to the limits of fear of failure. It is saying, I can achieve what I set my mind to. I can grow. I can change. I can overcome. These 3 declarations, life, purpose, and possibility, together form a new blueprint for the mind and spirit. The reason 3 days is so powerful is because it is long enough to disrupt patterns. Many people wait for inspiration to change, but inspiration is fleeting. Discipline is what brings transformation. For 3 days, you are training yourself to speak on purpose, not just by accident. You are choosing your words instead of repeating inherited scripts. You are deciding what your inner voice will sound like instead of letting circumstances decide for you. Even if the world around you remains the same, your perspective shifts, and that is the beginning of change. Every declaration you make is a brick laid in the construction of a new identity. You may not finish the building in 3 days, but you will lay a foundation. And once a foundation is set, the structure can continue to rise. 3 days of consistency creates momentum, and momentum is what carries you into long-term transformation. When your spirit begins to believe what your mouth is saying, your behavior begins to align with your belief, and your environment begins to respond to your behavior. What started as words becomes a mindset, and what becomes a mindset eventually shapes reality. Do you want me to move on and expand Keynote No. 5 into 700 words with the same rhythm and tone? The environment you live in tomorrow will be created by the words you speak today. Every word is a seed, and every seed has the power to produce a harvest in time. The life you are experiencing right now is the result of words that were spoken yesterday, last week, last year, and in seasons long past. Some of those words were spoken by others, but the most influential ones were spoken by you. When you declare something consistently, you are building the framework of the environment you will step into. If you want to change tomorrow, you must begin by changing the words you are speaking today. Words create atmosphere. They shape the way you see opportunities, the way you approach challenges, and the way people respond to you. If you walk into a room rehearsing in your mind, I am not good enough, I do not belong here, I will fail, then even before anyone speaks to you, you have already built an environment of defeat around yourself. People will sense your hesitation, your insecurity will leak through your body language, and the opportunities meant for you will slip away. On the other hand, if you walk into the same room saying, I am prepared, I belong here, I have value to offer, you create an environment of confidence. Your posture shifts, your energy radiates differently, and doors begin to open simply because of the atmosphere you carried in with you. Your environment is not only external, it is internal. The space inside your mind and spirit is the first environment you must manage. If that inner environment is toxic with fear, shame, and negativity, then no matter how much success surrounds you externally, you will never enjoy it. A person can live in a palace and still feel imprisoned if their inner environment is full of lies. Another person can live in the simplest of circumstances and yet feel empowered if their inner environment is filled with words of truth, hope, and possibility. The external eventually reflects the internal. What you speak into your inner world today becomes the external world you experience tomorrow. The danger is that many people are careless with their words, not realizing they are architects of their future. They speak casually, saying, I will never succeed. Nothing ever works out for me. I am always unlucky. And those words begin to build walls of limitation around their lives. Every repeated statement becomes another brick in the environment of tomorrow. What feels like harmless self-expression becomes a prophecy fulfilled by their own tongue. That is why discipline of speech is not optional. It is essential. You cannot create a positive tomorrow with negative words today. Think of your words like blueprints. An architect does not draw random lines on paper without purpose. Every line has intention, every detail has meaning, because the blueprint determines what will be constructed. In the same way, your words are the lines you are drawing for your future. If you speak confusion, your environment will reflect chaos. If you speak defeat, your environment will reflect barriers. If you speak life, your environment will reflect growth. The blueprint you draw with your words becomes the structure you will one day live in. This is why declarations must be intentional. You do not wait for life to shape your words. You shape your words so they can shape your life. Speak the environment you want to live in before you see it. If you want peace tomorrow, speak peace today. If you want opportunity tomorrow, speak favor today. If you want growth tomorrow, speak increase today. You cannot harvest what you have not planted, and you cannot live in an environment you have not spoken into existence. Consider how words impact relationships. When you constantly speak criticism, harshness, and negativity over people around you, the environment of that relationship becomes heavy and distant. But when you speak encouragement, appreciation, and affirmation, the environment of that relationship becomes warm, supportive, and fruitful. The same principle applies to your career, your health, your finances, and your personal growth. Whatever environment you desire in the future must be spoken into reality now. It is also important to understand that your words not only shape your personal environment, but also influence the collective environment of others. Families are shaped by the words parents consistently speak in the home. Teams are shaped by the language leaders use. Communities are shaped by the narratives repeated within them. When you discipline yourself to speak life, you are not just creating an environment for yourself, you are influencing the atmosphere for everyone connected to you. Your tomorrow is not a mystery waiting to be discovered. It is a structure waiting to be built. And the materials of that structure are not money, not resources, not connections, but words. Speak carefully, because careless words today will build a careless tomorrow. Speak intentionally, because intentional words today will build an intentional tomorrow. Speak faithfully, because words of faith today will build an environment of breakthrough tomorrow.